Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey here with you again in this episode. It seems like every day there's some kind of headline that says, Americans aren't saving enough to retire. It's like Americans will never get to retire. The average American has saved $0 towards retirement, like that. So, it's just all doom and gloom, right? And there's not much good news about retirement, living the American dream, and those kinds of things. Hey, today we're going to reverse that. We're going to turn it around because the financial rock star, Faith Positive Nation, is on Faith Positive Radio today. Scott Alan Turner retired early. We're going to figure out how he did that. It's too late for early for you. It's okay. You can still play catch up, right, Scott? He spends his time helping people just like us, Faith Positive Nation, get out of debt faster. He also helps us save more money, helps us retire rich. He is the radio and podcast host of the Scott Alan Turner Show. He's the best-selling author of 99-Minute Millionaire. And did I mention he is the financial rock star? Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome Scott Alan Turner. Scott, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, man.
Thanks, Joey. Glad to be on here.
Hey, we're delighted to have you on. So retired early. How early is early, dude?
I was a self-made millionaire at age 35, and probably a few years ago, I realized, I've achieved financial independence in my life with my wife and our wonderful twins, and now I work because I want to, not because I have to.
Oh, now that's the pivotal point, because people say, well, I'm going to retire, and then they have visions of playing golf 3-4 days a week down in Florida and things like that. But what I just heard you say was you bought yourself time to do what you want to do. Is that what you mean by financial independence?
Yeah, that and just the concept of retirement itself. A lot of people have this idea, hey, I want to retire at 55. Well, if you're going to live till 95, that's 40 years. That's a long time.
What are you going to do? Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so there's the quintessential guy or gal who gets tired of playing golf in Florida. Now what, right? Well, see, you bought yourself time with these twins. By the way, Scott's wife, Katie Klein, was on Faith Positive Radio earlier. It's how we got introduced to Scott. Glad we met her first. But anyway, so you got time to spend with the twins. What's that like? How old are they?
They just turned 4 a couple months ago. So it's great. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people strive for when they're looking for financial independence. They want to spend more time with the family. A lot of people want to travel more. For me, I've worked from home from a long time, so I've gotten to see my kids since the day they were born up until age 4, like every day.
Wow.
Breakfast, I see them when they come home from daycare a couple days a week. I can knock off work early anytime and go do things with them, like drag them to Home Depot if we got projects to work on.
Come on, guys, we're going to Home Depot. By the way, the Home Depot is making nothing off this show as far as we know. We're certainly not making anything off. So I love 4-year-olds because A, they're potty trained, and B, they can tell you what they want. They begin to express themselves. So that must be absolutely delightful to be young as you are. You still got hair and it's dark, right? Dark hair. and me, not so much. But and you're home playing with your 4-year-olds. So you have control over your schedule.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did you discover this? And by the way, we're always interested in how your faith played a part in all this for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm a serial entrepreneur, but the components to financial independence, at least in my life, it was a mixture of being frugal in some areas of my life, both my wife and I. When we got married, we didn't have anywhere near the assets and savings that we do now. So we started out with modest means, average jobs. And we lived a very scaled back lifestyle.
What does scaled back mean, man? Because you're smiling as you say that. Do you eat beanie weenies for supper every night?
No, but we downsized 5 times.
Downsized 5 times.
I had an awesome house going into our marriage. I was a single dude, 2,200 square foot house, just me. And then in my wife's townhouse, which
I'm
was
not going there, man. You got to choose which bathroom you used, right?
one of three.
I got you.
We got married, moved in to Katie's townhouse, which she owned. That was 1,100 square feet. And from there, we made some life changes. She left her job, went to school full time. We lived in Atlanta at the time. So we decided, she wanted to come home to her family. So from there, we moved into 1,000 square foot rental house. That was another downsize. And when we got to Texas, we moved in with my in-laws. We thought temporarily, which turned out to be a year. And we were in a 300 square foot bedroom in the back of their house.
I thought everything was bigger in Texas, man, because I thought you could go for like 1,000 to a 3,000 square foot bedroom or something, but you went to 300, huh?
Yeah, so downsize, and our jobs kind of did the same thing. Our automobiles kind of did the same thing. So some of it was self-imposed, but some of it was circumstance. Katie couldn't find a job. We ended up spending a year with the in-laws while we figured stuff out. And through that whole process, we ended up saving a lot of money, especially that 1 year, which not everybody can go do that. But we knocked out 90% of our income went to savings that year because we were just spending $400 a month on rent at the in-laws place.
Wow. So your in-laws charge you rent, right?
Oh, we paid them. They didn't.
Not that I would bring up any source of conflict in your life. So tell me what this is like, because I mean, Jesus said you can't serve God and mammon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I just heard you say was, I mean, it was a good life. I'm not saying you were serving mammon, but you went from 2,200 to 1,100 to 1,000 to 300. And you say your car scaled back too. I mean, what was your spiritual life like during that time?
Yeah, we didn't know what God's plan was, but we were faithful in it. We knew something was going to happen, and we were content in each of those situations, which I think that was pivotal in where we are in life today. We have much more. We're much better off than we are today. We have a lot more stuff. We have a lot more time, but
you got 2 babies.
Yes, we've had conversations repeatedly in where we are now, thinking, way back then, could we go back and do that? Worst case scenario, if we lost everything we had and we had to go back to that rental house where there were bugs running through the kitchen and squirrels in the basement.
Oh no, squirrels in the basement.
And even her townhouse, which I worked from home at that time. And I remember I had to call the cops on the neighbors for domestic disputes. And there was another time I went out in the street because all the police officers running up and down the street. And I was like, what's going on? Oh, 13 of your neighbors' houses have been broken into recently. It's like, oh, wow.
So the good news is you were not number 14, right?
I ran into the UPS driver after we moved into the rental house. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you guys had moved. It's like, yeah. Well, did you know that area just behind your house, we call that Cracktown? This is the UPS driver telling us this. It's like, no, we did not know that.
Won't you be my neighbor?
So, I mean, other than those things, Bob,
it was a good life. So, Scott, man, you and Katie had to be scratching your head at some point going, God, really?
Yeah, when we got out to Texas, my wife had just graduated with her master's degree, concentration on commercial real estate development. So she had credentials, she had a job history, she had all these great interviews lined up with really respected firms in the industry. 2007, 2008, when the entire real estate market tanked.
Oh, I think I
so she
remember
could find
those
a job.
years. Yeah. I've tried to obliterate 2008 from my memory, but anyway. Yeah. Wow. And so you find yourself living with the in-laws. Now, how long had you been married?
We'd been married two and a half years.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. At least it wasn't year 1, right? Yeah, it's 2.5 years and you're in a 300 square foot bedroom and she can't get a job and you're thinking to yourself.
We thought we were going to be there for 2 weeks. We thought, we're moving in. We're going to stay with you guys a couple weeks. Katie's just going to pick up a job and then we're going to move to Dallas because we were about a couple hours outside of Dallas. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 became 4, which became a couple months. It's like, wow, can't find a job anywhere.
Wow. So tell me, Katie got a job pretty quickly.
About that same time, we started a business for her on the side. This is back in Atlanta. So a couple months prior to us moving to Dallas, we started this little business to help her raise money to get a new car. I mean, that was the whole principle behind it. She came home one day, I want a new car and I want to pay cash for it. And I don't want to take on any car loans. So, all right, let's brainstorm on that. We came up with a business idea, combined some of her talents, some of mine. And in those months out in Dallas, that business continued to grow, and she ended up making way more money than she would have working for someone else. And then she ended up making so much money that I started helping her more and more with the business. And then combined, we were making more money than I could at my regular business too. So I left my company to work with her.
Oh man, see, this reminds me of Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who's one of my favorite authors of all time. He said, "Within every adversity lies the seeds of opportunity."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the thing I love about that story is you didn't quit. Because I mean, most of the time people just throw their hands up. Even Christian people, where's your faith? They just throw their hands up and say, God, where have you gone? But you guys kept plowing and planting seeds, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I've learned over the years from going to church, listening to sermons, and having that faith is you really got two choices. I mean, you can quit, and then you always have this back in your mind, what if, or what could have happened?
Yeah.
Life of regrets. And for me, I don't want to do that. I want to look back even 6 months from now and say, I wish I had done that. So when opportunities come up, no matter how harebrained or crazy, I might jump on them. And if I think I can turn it into something for good, just go for it. And then I know later on down the road, all right, at least I went for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Regret free, right? How do you know when God's calling you to jump on it? Because what I just heard you say was rather than capitulate to the recession and a negative world and economy, you and Katie really said, God, what do you want us to do? And so you went into a 300 square foot bedroom in your in-laws' home. I'm sure Katie loved living with mom and dad again, honey, what time are you going to be home? Right. But you didn't just capitulate to all that adversity. You listened to God and followed that path. Now, starting a business is not for everybody. Okay. We know that. But nonetheless, you sensed a call from the Holy Spirit. So what did it take for you and Katie to jump off into that and actually try that?
Sure. I think there's some percentage of it that you've got to have faith to make whatever decision you're going to make. And some of it is being strategic and not just doing foolish things. I mean, some people go out and do foolish thing. All right, I'm going to sell everything I own, and then I'm going to go start a boat business in Italy or something, or Greece. And so that might be as well.
Never thought of that one. That's a pretty good idea. Let me write that down. I was thinking Venice, but
yeah, I'll give you an example from prior to when I got married. I left my corporate job, took a 65% pay cut to go work on my own. And the reason I was able to do that was because I had an emergency fund in place. So I had 6 months of cash. So it was a little bit of a safety net, but then that contributed to, I've got this faith component of that too. So combine those two things, I think I'm in a pretty good situation. It wasn't just, all right, I'm really tired of my corporate job. I'm just going to hand down my resignation and I've got no safety net, no plan, no nothing. I'm just going to go into it and say, or I hope for the best, which that works out. But when you get the safety net too, then you get a better chance.
Yeah. So God's call really prepped you for that jumping off time, right?
Yes.
Prepped you to say, Scott, okay, you need to save 6 months or whatever it was you saved of your salary. And then you were able to pursue God's call. That's an excellent point because the Holy Spirit always works ahead of time, right? So what kind of challenges have you faced in, well, first of all, let's talk about challenges you faced in retiring early. Mm-hmm. You were frugal, you ate beanie weenies every night. No, but you lived with your in-laws, right? So you were frugal. What kinds of challenges were there in frugality for you and Katie?
Some people think it's going to be, all right, we got to eat rice every day. I like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's the analogy I use. If I had to eat them every day, I would not be sad. But
so is it grape jelly or strawberry jam, man? Which is it?
I think I like grape.
Classic American sandwich, right?
So yeah, there were some sacrifices we made in our life, but we made decisions. We want to spend money. We want to be conscientious spenders. We want to spend more on things that we enjoy, which for us is travel.
Okay.
Less on things that we don't. For me personally, that's clothes. I go shopping maybe once a year at Kohl's. Buy a lot of my clothes at Kohl's or on Amazon, like crazy.
That's when Katie drags you to Kohl's, right?
Yeah. And automobiles is a big one for us. When I was in a bad financial situation in my own life, one of the key turning points was I sold an expensive car that had a $800 a month car payment. And then I bought this used truck for cash, $6,500, and then drove that. So got married. Then Katie and I took her car, which she had a car loan as well, traded that in and paid cash for what I continue to drive today. My car is now almost 11 years old,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't look great. It's not worth much, but it's reliable, and I haven't had a car payment for 11 years.
And look, man, that is so sweet. All my car dealer friends don't want to see me coming, and they probably won't watch this episode because I'm the same way. I buy older automobiles that are highly reliable. They're comfortable, and they come with no payment.
Yeah. Cars, they're a wealth killer for the vast majority of people. And when people say, I'll never have $1 million if that's a goal, which is something people can comprehend. It's like a cool thing to have $1 million in the bank. And for most people, they've got it. It's just sitting in the garage or in the carport or on the sidewalk. And that monthly payment, when you send it to the auto dealer instead of putting in your own bank account, investing in it, let it compound 20, 30, 40 years, it adds up to $1 million.
Mm. So you're talking about compounding interest then as one of the ways to accrue wealth.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that how you became financially independent so young?
That was certainly another component of it when you add together frugality, which we had a high savings rate, and then investing. And for us, we're also business owners, which helps. It's not the only way to build wealth.
Right.
Employee, I know plenty of teachers who have worked 20, 30 years. Teachers are very frugal, and they get pretty well. They're paid well, and they learn to scrimp and save because they don't get a lot of supplies.
Right.
A lot of them end up with a lot of money.
Yeah. They know how to beg, borrow pencils and everything, right?
Yeah. So it's not just business owners that can achieve great wealth.
Yeah. So how did Katie choose the business that she was going to start? I mean, I understand the goal of I want a cash-free car, right? A debt-free car, rather. How did she choose the business that she started?
We had that conversation around a dinner table when she came home and posed the question. And I asked, she was studying commercial real estate development, and she had to take these exams to add to her resume. And I started asking her questions about that. What about that thing that you're studying for? Is there something that you could do there? Could you teach other people about that topic? Could you teach them green building or some exam prep? Because I was in the exam prep business with my full-time job.
Oh.
And we combined her talents with what she knew and my talents, which was IT and website development and delivering products over the internet. And we built a business for her, which she ran. And it was just amazing. We spent 2 months building a business. And then when we fired it up, she went into her internship job one Monday, and she started getting texts. Every time she got a sale, she'd get a text. And suddenly her coworkers are asking her, what are you getting texts for? Because she was an intern. Not that important in the office.
What does she know? We don't know.
Like, I just made another $50 from this business. And by the end of the day one, she made $350. So that went from there.
Well, there was a car payment on day one, right? Yeah, unless you like expensive cars like you do, right? Yeah. So tell me about this bestseller, 99-Minute Millionaire. How'd you come to write that?
Sure. As I'm in personal finance now, so one of the pivots I made when I got out of IT, became financially independent, I get to choose whatever I want to do for pretty much the rest of my life as I consider it now. And I had always enjoyed personal finance and had an interest in it. And I wanted to keep people from making the silly and the dumb mistakes I made in my own life.
Mm.
So when I started doing the Scott Allen Turner Show or answer listener questions about anything from budgeting and debt to business questions, I kept getting the same question over and over again. How do I get started investing?
Mm.
Because it's made out to be a very, very complex topic by the people who are trying to sell you products and manage your money.
Mm-hmm.
Which when I started the business, I took about, I'm not going to endorse any financial products. I'm not going to advertise any financial products. I'm not to take commissions on any financial products.
Mm.
I'm financially independent. I don't need to make money from that stuff. So I've got a clean slate, no conflict of interest. I'm going to teach people how to get started investing. And with the book, the title comes from, I can do it in 99 minutes, meaning I'll take somebody from, I don't know what compound interest is. I don't know why I should invest to you're an investor at the end using really simple concepts based on academic research where I'm not trying to sell any products.
So you're like the Consumer Reports of personal finance then, because you don't take any advertising, right?
All right.
All right. You go out and lab test all this stuff and then bring it back. So in 99 minutes, I can go from 0 to 60, right? And start investing in like 3 seconds. In 99 minutes, I can do that.
Depending on your reading speed, yeah. And it's a real simple read. If you look up on Amazon, it's got 190 reviews, positive reviews, because it's really, really simple concepts. I use a lot of food analogies, which everybody can relate to. I like pizza, and I like donuts. So there's a lot of pizza and donuts in this book, which makes it interesting. You get done, you're going to be hungry.
Okay. So drive by the Krispy Kreme before, right? Or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever your preference is. Yeah. Okay, so really it's written for people who have no understanding of investing and yet want to begin investing. So you give them a quick start, right? And they're able to get going right away. So tell me 3 keys in the 99-Minute Millionaire, 3 keys to getting started investing.
The first one is start. A lot of people don't get started.
Yeah.
And it's scary for people, especially
it is, man.
A lot of people have 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans in their retirement plan, and they're scared to touch it because they don't understand what's in it. And then the HR department doesn't do a good job of explaining it. So this book takes care of all that.
Well, that's part of the drill, isn't it? Is they want to keep you confused so you don't know how simple it really is to use compound interest to grow your money, right?
Yeah, Wall Street has a really good business model, and that's make everybody confused and scared and freaked out about investing so that you pay them. And then they I'm a believer based on I've lost $40,000 in the stock market early on in my life, and then I learned all this stuff, and that's the same stuff I teach now. I've been doing it the same way for 17 years, and it's one of those things that help build financial independence.
Oh, sweet. So the first thing is get started, right? Okay.
And that can be as simple as 1 penny out of every dollar that you earn. So 1%. And then as you can make more, you get increases in your job, pay raises, bonuses. You can increase that over time to a fair amount. The more you save, the more you're going to quicker.
Right. What's another key out of 99-Minute Millionaire?
Keep it simple. That's the process that I've always used. There is no reason to get into really exotic stuff.
Okay.
The core basics of the book is here's a couple different vendors you can go to. You can get started up in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I have some videos up on my YouTube channel, walk you through 10 minutes. There's some robo advisors out there. That's a term that's I cover in the book, what that is. Or even though basic stuff in your 401k, here's how to pick different things that are going to give you the most bang for the buck.
Okay. So there's a low level of entry, not much of a barrier there, both energy, time, cost, things like that. Not much knowledge needed.
$20 you can get started in investing in 10 minutes. It's that
$20 in 10 minutes. Wow. Now I got to go get 99-Minute Millionaire to see how that works. What's the third key out of 99-Minute Millionaire?
The third key is I've spent probably half the book dispelling all of the myths around investing and how people are trying to rip people off. Some intentionally, some unintentionally, but that includes Wall Street, products, services, things that people do to sabotage their own investments. They are, not to be rude, but smarter than they really are. I mean, I was in that camp.
Overestimating their abilities, are they?
Exactly. Yeah. So all those different things that will torpedo your retirement and your investments, I break all those down and explain them in clear, plain English, how to avoid those things.
Oh, sweet. I love that. Now, what kind of questions do you get from Christians? Because you would think the way stewardship's laid out in the Bible, money was one of Jesus' favorite topics, that we'd kind of have the blueprint. We'd have the edge as Christians, right? As people of the book. Ain't necessarily so. So what kinds of questions do you get from Christians?
They're really the same people who are not going to church. We've all got the same
questions, man.
We didn't get the education growing up. We didn't get it from our parents. I certainly not. We certainly don't get it from schools. And then the information we get from our coworkers at work is usually awful.
Yeah, same guys.
Take out a mortgage and go buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And now.
I don't even want to understand Bitcoin. It looks like smoke and mirrors to me, but maybe it's the best thing since sliced bread. I may never know because I'll never invest in it. But well, that's cool.
Yeah, there's the debt component of that, which I think all of us go through. We start out with debt, then we get up to, all right, we're hopefully free of debt. Half of people are currently not. And then from there, all right, we grow our income. What are we going to do? What legacy we're going to learn? How are we going to save? How are we going to give? That's always the challenge I find on my show is trying to convince people, give. And not with the intention of getting something back, but if you give, I believe that you get it back.
Well, Jesus was really clear about it. You reap what you sow, right? And God loves a cheerful giver. We read that, right? And I mean, there's this whole history with money written in Scripture for us. It tells us everything we need to know. So why are we hesitant to give away money?
We're greedy.
Oh, man, we're back to sin, aren't we?
I was greedy, selfish, self-centered, and when there was a message I heard early on after I became a Christian, I want to get into my favorite Bible verses from Ecclesiastes. The message is on chasing after the wind and doing that in your work, in your life. Well, there's nothing new under the sun. We're chasing after things that we think are going to make us happy. And it was at that point in my life, it was April 2003. I remember the date.
Wow.
I said, you know what, God, I'm gonna give. I had not been tithing up to that point. I'm gonna do it your way. That's when I took the 65% pay cut. I'm not only going to take a pay cut, but I'm gonna take 10% of what I'm now going to give, and I was going to give it to the church, and you do what you want. And that was it was a low point in my life. It was a point where I was making some of the least income in my life, and then from there, well, now I'm financially independent. So I tested God, and He said, "Yeah, you did it right."
You mean there's a reason He put the tithe in the Bible to instruct us? Wow. So you tested God, and God proved to be good to His word.
Yeah, I would not. Well, it's probably a poor choice of word. I didn't really test God. Say, let's see what you want to do with this. Let's try it your way and see what happens.
Well, you tried it your way and screwed it up, right? So let's try it God's way, and maybe that'll work a little bit better than Scott's way. I know it works better than Joey's way. I've messed it up every which way you can imagine, but come back to the book. It's simple, right? Right back in there. So our friend Ron Blue wrote Master Your Money 100 years ago. At least he would say it was about 100 years ago. And Ron talks about your finish line. In other words, how much is enough? Without giving me numbers, did that affect you in terms of this is my finish line. When I reach this amount of money, then I know I'm going to be financially independent because I can invest it and generate this much income. Then I can do what I want.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and myself included, this is probably within the past couple of years, I had to realize, how much is enough. And now that I'm working for different reasons, what am I really trying to accomplish? Was a big question I had to ask myself. I'm working just to make more money. All right. At some point, enough is enough. And you realize there's a point of diminishing happiness with the more money that you have.
Diminishing happiness with the more money you have. Tell me more. That's a great phrase.
Yeah, there's actually some studies that have been done. And for people who earn $75,000 a year, that's the tipping point. So for every dollar you earn beyond that, you get less and less happy compared to getting up to that point.
Wow.
But that's what the studies have shown based on all the big brains in academia.
Yeah. So what sucks your happiness?
I think we're a very consumer oriented society, and we like stuff. And so we're chasing these ideas of, I got to have this, and I need to go on this vacation. I got to have this car and this big a house. And we're always trying to get bigger, better, faster, more. And we don't have any sense of contentment for the journey along the way or the stuff that we already do have. I found in my own life, all right, I've got a pretty nice house. I got a really good life. I got a lot of free time. I've got a wonderful family. I got great health. And extra bunches of hundreds of thousands or $1 million in the bank is not going to increase my happiness one bit. It's not. And it took me a long time to realize that. People, they're going to run into this roadblock. They're going to say, yeah, but you got money. And I don't. They're going to think, I got to work harder. I got to work more so I can have this dollar amount. But at some point, everyone's going to realize, that's kind of right. I've got more, or I've achieved more, but I'm not any more happy than I was 6 months or a year ago.
So what I just heard you say was the finish line keeps moving. And so when is enough? You keep moving it out, and then a little stuff needs some more stuff, and so you get consumed by this black hole of need and greed, as opposed to, what am I going to do with this money? Who am I working for? How much is enough? And once you establish how much is enough, then what am I going to do with the other? Am I going to give it away. Who am I going to work for?
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding contentment in your current situation. When I talked
Mm,
about Katie and I, we know that if we had to go back to where we were, we would be content. And that helps us out, keeps us grounded, knowing that, we live in a very awesome area. There's houses that range from $150,000 condos to there's like a gated section with $2 million, which I drive by every day. I'm looking at this house and the commute. I think, man, I would kind of like to be in there, but at the same time, probably not.
What's it going to cost me, right? Am I going to give up my happiness for it?
Yeah, I can take the extra money I'm earning now and do a lot of good things with it. I can donate to charities, which is fun. Oh, we're in the Christmas time of season as we're recording this. One of our favorite charities to give to each year. It's called Gospel for Asia. And I love getting their Christmas catalog because we can give cows to people and chickens and rabbits and Jesus wells and churches and Jeeps. I mean, we've been really blessed.
Wow, you can give a Jeep?
Yeah. I mean, we've been able to start a bunch of churches over.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So it's really cool when you get to write a big check or stuff like that. And knowing, this chicken, which might be $12, that's going to help a family. I mean, they can get eggs from it and all kinds of things.
Sure. Raise baby chickens and then they can have fried chicken at Sunday dinner, right? Yeah. So you've used the word contentment like 6 times. What is the key to contentment? In other words, how does my faith inform that contentment?
I think really it's just being still and reflecting on what we have. For me, when I think of the worst case scenario of what could happen in my life, and that's losing everything. Would I have a house? Yeah. I mean, I've got friends. I could say I got in-laws. Friends. I'm not going to be homeless.
Okay.
Food. I can go to a food pantry. I can get discount food if someone's going to feed me. Clothes I got. And so those.
You don't need many clothes.
No. Shoes, pants, shirt, and you're good to go. Coat.
That's right. Sweatshirt, hoodie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the worst case scenario for pretty much anybody, at least living in the United States, is really not that bad. And it's really a lot better than most people around the world have.
Yeah.
So that's the worst. And you look at everything that you've got. Most of us got a bunch of clothes, a bunch of shoes, multiple TVs, multiple bathrooms. I mean, we've got tons. We travel, cars, you name it. We got it pretty good. And finding contentment in that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, what I hear you saying is be grateful for what God's given you here, right now, today. Be grateful. It may not be all that the TV commercials tell you need, right? Or the slick glossy ads in the print magazines tell you need, or the banners that are popping up on Google, right? But you got a lot of stuff, so be grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the trap that we fall into, getting back to that Bible verse, chasing after the wind. That's what I found in my own life. I'm working more, trying to make more money. And this is very common in at least men, I think to a lesser extent women. I need to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week to give my family everything that they want. And then what's family really want? What do your kids really want? You.
Oh, man, yeah.
Spend more time.
Those 4-year-old girls want daddy, right? I don't remember if they're girls or boys. Mine are girls, so I assume everybody has daughters. Sorry about that. But those 4-year-olds, they want daddy, right? Nobody can take daddy's place.
Yeah, and once that time is gone, it's gone. You can't get it back.
No, and it passes way too quickly, buddy. Way too quickly. I speak from the voice of experience there. I mean, it's gone. I was that crazy guy who had his own business and throttled the business. In other words, turned down engagements, speaking engagements and things like that, because I had my daughter's cross country or spring track schedule in my hand. And if the date required me to travel or to speak on the day of one of her meets, there's a million great speakers out there, most of them better than me, but I'm one daddy. And so I'm the maniac running from point to point on the cross country course, right? Yeah. Or I'm the guy there pulling off the infield on the track meet. Sir, you can't stand over there. You got to get behind the fence, right? But I mean, it's one daddy, and that's the way it is with you. So what I hear you saying is get your priorities in a biblical order, in the way God created life. So we're human beings, not human doings, built to live in a relationship with each other, and be grateful for it. Oh, that's sweet. Gratitude, man. That's a huge pivot point. Tell me, you mentioned your favorite Bible verse a few times. It's Ecclesiastes what?
Oh, I wish I could tell you the number.
It's in there.
2017. It was 14 years ago. I heard that verse, and I just paraphrase it every time. It says like chasing after the wind. I have to catch myself even nowadays. Still, dude, you're chasing after the wind. That's chasing after the wind. Reel it in. Be happy. Forget about that. You can do it another time if at all.
Right. That's right. It's like the dog chasing the car. What would he do if he caught it? Right? Chasing the wind. Yeah. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. Well, which really means that we focus on the good stuff that God gives us on life, and that good stuff is Katie, your beautiful wife, those two amazing children, and then the Scott Allen Turner Show, through which you help people both as a podcast and is that a terrestrial radio show as well?
Yes, it's on a radio station currently in Los Angeles.
Oh, sweet, sweet. So how can we find, do we just go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or Spotify or something and just put in Scott Allen Turner Show and it pops right up?
Yeah, if you punch in any of those, my name into any of those, it'll pop up.
Okay, sweet. And is that a weekly podcast or how often is it?
3 times a week, because that's my, well, I call it full-time, but it's part-time.
Your full part-time job?
Part-time thing that I do, and it's very, very rewarding. I spend the majority of my show answering listener questions and helping them out, and for me to be able to help people get out of debt, achieve financial independence. I built a lot of relationships and friendships through that show, helping people out, and I love it.
Oh man, it's your real passion. So there's the key, right? Achieve financial independence. So not so you can retire to play golf in Florida, but so you can do what you were designed to do by the good Lord. Yes, the Scott Allen Turner Show is what you were designed to do. So where can Faith Positive Nation get the 99 Minute Millionaire?
That is up on Amazon, and I made it really affordable. It's 99 cents.
Oh, hey, I got that, man. 99 cents. Okay. So it'll be the best 99 cents you ever spend, because in 99 minutes, you will start being the financial steward that the good Lord intends for you to be. ScottAllenTurner.com is the website, and we can email you at scott@scottallenturner.com, right?
Absolutely. And I love to hear from people.
All right, man, it's marvelous having you on. Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate the gift of your time today, which of course is one resource none of us can make. And so you shared it with us today, and I really appreciate that. Give Katie our very best and hug up and love those two precious 4-year-olds. And we just pray God's blessings on you and all that you do. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thanks, Joey. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.